العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدمه. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
So for that organization, it's not permissible to give to, because young people are not from the asnaf, these 8 types of people. طيب. What about an organization that provides services for deaf people or blind people? Now they organize classes for them, sign language classes, or different types of classes, lectures. Is it permissible to give to this sort of this organization? Depends on
whether they have the ability to go work.
Okay. It depends on whether they have the ability to go back. Okay. Disregard any of the supporting reasons or aspects. In essence, no. Why? But that isn't the fact that they need isn't because they're blind, not specifically because they're blind. So for example, مثلا, if there is a blind person that can't go out and work, we're going to give him zakah on the pretense that what? That they're blind or they're fuqara. They're fuqara. They can't work. طيب. An organization that gives to the needy, the poor, like in their accounts are always open, so anyone that comes to them, they give. Anyone that comes to them, they provide for them. Any sort of individual that needs any type of help, legal aid, مثلا. No, why? Excellent, okay, the kafir could come, but they say not only Muslims only. If we exclude the kafir, is it permissible? Zakah money will be mixed with other money that is used for other purposes. Excellent, so that is also not permissible. Like if there is an organization that make it their sole purpose to only give zakah, to only collect zakah, and to only pay the zakah to those people who are entitled to zakah, then you can give to that organization, because sometimes you might not be able to give it to the miskeen. Also, what can happen is sometimes there's more of a benefit if you give to this organization than if you were to go and give it to a miskeen. Can anyone mention an example? Give me a scenario. مثلا الآن there's Allahu A'lam, مثلا just say there's 100 masakeen, 100 rich people in a village. Each of those goes and finds, مثلا has to pay £100. So he gives £100 to this miskeen, and another one gives £100 to that miskeen, and another gives £100 to that miskeen. And it is sunnah to directly give it to the miskeen. So that miskeen takes it and obviously uses it. Lakin if you were to gather it and put it into one place, into one pot, you're able to provide for the masakeen directly. So they're able to come and take the amount that they need for a whole year. They're able to come and take the amount that they need for a whole year. طيب. Is it permissible to put money into, مثلا invest in the zakah, or make it waqf? Let's go to waqf first. مثلا الآن there's 100,000 that needs to be paid for zakah. 100,000 of zakah money that we have right now. Can we say we're going to go and build مثلا a masjid for the Muslims, or a shelter home for orphans, so that orphans can benefit from? Or we're going to offer a food bank for the fuqara, for the poor people. If they were orphans and if they're masakeen, the fuqara, We refer back to the masala where we said if a miskin has a debt against him, if he owes a debt, it is not permissible to drop the debt as zakah. No, it hasn't been narrated anywhere in the sunnah where you can pay it to the naf' that is am. Also, you're not actually directly giving to that miskin. You're not giving to that miskin directly. And anything can happen to the establishment of the building, the actual building, the rent, the people that are building and so on. They're getting part of the zakah, sah? And that zakah, who's entitled to it? The fuqara and the masakeen, and so on. Okay. Can we put it into the stock market or as an investment? The zakah money? No. Why? It's not how we're meant to spend it. And also, even if we were to put it into an investment, it can take how many years sometimes to benefit back from the investment? 5, 6, 7, 8 years or more. And that has passed the zakah that was meant to be paid to the masakeen on an annual basis. طيب. Alhamdulillah, we finished Kitab al-Siyam, Kitab al-Zakah. As planned, next week we'll have a test. Then we'll revise, hopefully within 3 or 4 sessions, if not less. Then we'll have another test. And then we'll see from there on, inshallah. Is that understood? So next week is a what? A test on the whole of Kitab as-Zakah. The whole of Kitab as-Zakah. Any questions? طيب خلاص تفضل. كتاب الزكاة. لا, the whole of Kitab al-Zakah. Yeah. And the questions are similar to any of the questions that we would have had last. مثلا, what is the ruling of zakah with evidence? مثلا, what is the nisab for crocodiles? مثلا, if a person has 60 million, how much zakah would they have to pay? And you're allowed to bring calculators as well. If a person has 60 million, how much zakah? If a person has 20,000, how much zakah do they have to pay? Fatima has 500 grams of dhahab, how much zakah does she have to pay? Questions like that. The majority of things that everything that we've studied in the last 5 or 6 classes, inshallah. But Kitab al-Zakah is a bit more practical. It's not theory based only. Okay, wallahu a'lam. Khalas, sir. Yes.
Inshallah, we'll pray and then we record it early one. Class tomorrow with me, inshallah ta'ala. Tomorrow, inshallah. Right. Someone do the adhan, please.
It's not yet. It's 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Can you what? No, there's a reason why why I've said it that way. The reason why I'm saying we're doing a test next week, then revising, and then a test, is because I want to prove to you that the knowledge you gain first time round, or the knowledge that you gain after revising, is more than the knowledge and more beneficial than the knowledge that you gain first time round. It's always better for you to revise old knowledge than to learn new knowledge. مثلا الآن كتاب منهج سالكين صح؟ Pause for a second please. What did the Shaykh mention in Bab al-Aniyah? Or what do the Fuqaha mention in Bab al-Aniyah? Chapter to do with vessels and utensils and so on. Can't be gold and silver. طيب. How many of you were here when we studied Kitab al-Tahara? From the brothers? From the sisters? From the sisters, how many of you were here when we studied Kitab al-Tahara? None. لا, it can't be. From Kitab al-Tahara, when we studied, none of the sisters were present, huh? One. Right. What does the Shaykh start the Kitab off with? When he says the introduction, before moving on to Bab al-Miyah, what does he start off with? He mentions a fasl beforehand. واجب مستحب أحكام تكليفية. طيب. Water, how many types? 2, 3, 2. What are those 2? Still water? Flowing? Flowing and still? لا. Pure and impure. طيب. What is the nisab for cattle? What is the nisab for dhahab? 885. Silver? Cash, money? Why were you able to, apart from the fact that many of you might not be here, why were you able to answer the questions of Kitab al-Zakah fluently? Straight away, rapidly. Whereas, practiced it, and you've revised it. So if you don't revise something, if you don't revise knowledge, you will forget it. So مثلا, if we leave it like that, a year will pass by, and when you open the kitab, it's like you've never actually studied this mas'ala in the past. مثلا, the mustahada. What should a mustahada do? What are some of the ahkam related to a mustahada? طيب, what else? That's what the sister said, نعم. She looks at her normal cycle. That's in terms of salah. طيب, what is the difference between istihada and hayd? دم الاستحاضة ودم hayd. Istihada is? Hayd is what? Istihada is a type of illness, and hayd is a sign of health. Who are excused from Salatul Jama'ah? Bab Ahl A'dhar. Who are excused from Salatul Jama'ah? Khawf. Sick. Khawf, sick. Traveller. Obese. Obesity. For him it's actually wajib for him to go and walk. Like if he's it depends how bad. If he can't get out of bed, he doesn't have a choice whether to go or not. Nah, it comes under marad. So ala kulli hal, if a person doesn't revise, no matter how fresh it is now, after a period of time you will forget. Like if you revise something over and over again, even if you were to be asked 5 years later, you know the answer. But you can picture the page that it was on. And you don't have to have photographic memory for that. When you've studied the book and you've looked at it so many times, you're able to almost memorize it. That's from one of the things that the scholars mention, is that if you can't memorize a certain text or a certain book that you want to memorize, at the very least, you should read it often. And by constantly referring back to it and reading it, you will remember all of the masail, and you will also remember what part of the page that it was on.